And let it be known that with episode 19 of Dragon Ball Super, we are finally starting way with the Resurrection F arc. Now with that being said, I really don't have that much stuff to talk about in terms of new content because it's a tell-for-tell retelling of the Resurrection F movie, and they really didn't do too much different from the actual source material. So I'm just going to go into detail of the things that they actually did differently, and they actually piqued my interest quite a bit. So starting off this episode, again, I really loved how it opened the same way the Resurrection F movie opened up, because I remember going in theaters to watch Resurrection F, and for the first like 5 minutes of the movie, I was so lost. Like I thought I walked into the wrong movie theater, because you have these like cutesy animals and these like people playing like drums and teddy bears, and for a good 5 minutes I was confused. I was lost. I had no idea what was going on. And then of course that little cocoon thing turns over and you have Freeza himself, and it was just, I started laughing. I mean, Toriyama threw me through a loop for a good 5 minutes, making me think that I like walked into the wrong theater and I'm missing like my Dragon Ball Resurrection F greatness. But one little change that I did notice is that they added in like a Playboy bunny in like the midst of all like the cutesy like animals and all that. So like I understand that the cutesy animals are what is Frieza's personal hell, because Frieza hates like cutesy, you know, like bubbly stuff. But where does a Playboy bunny come into that midst? Like I don't know, like Frieza, I'm starting to question you. A Playboy bunny's your personal hell? I am starting to question you. And then we finally transition over to Goku and Vegeta's training with Whis, and again, it's most the same from, you know, the Resurrection F movie. There's really not too much to discuss about, but one thing that I just really like that Whis brought up about Vegeta and Goku back in the Resurrection F movie, and as well as Dragon Ball Super, is that Vegeta, he's way too tense, he thinks too much when he's throwing his punches, and it doesn't make him fast enough. Whereas Goku, he's way too relaxed, and his guard is like always down, always below guard, and it can throw him off at times. And for those of you that have seen Resurrection F, you saw this moment where Goku's weakness got the best of him. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone that has not seen the movie, but for those of you that have seen the movie Resurrection F, you know exactly what I'm talking about towards the end of the fight with, you know how Goku loses his guard. But I thought that was pretty interesting. I'm hoping after this arc, or maybe even during this arc, they go into more detail as to how Goku and Vegeta can overcome those moments of like, you know, too much tensity and just being way too relaxed. I really want to see them build off of their weaknesses and become like even stronger fighters from where they are right now. And this is completely irrelevant, but I thought it was so badass when Whis like blocked Goku and Vegeta's punches with like his 2 fingers with one hand, like that. I'm sorry, Whis is a beast. Whis is a beast. He pinky, the pinky and the thumb. I can't. That's fucking badass. And then we start getting into the scene where Piccolo is babysitting Pan, and in all honesty, I really wouldn't mind, you know, this segment at all if it wasn't for like one little thing that kind of got on my nerves a little bit, and it was when Piccolo was playing peekaboo with Pan. And to me, it just didn't fit his character at all. Because, see, what a lot of people do is they'll complain about Vegeta having to, like, you know, doing this cooking shit and, like, you know, bending his ass over backwards for Beerus, and they say it's completely out of character. However, to me personally, I see that as what Vegeta's character has grown into. He's no longer the ruthless, badass vigilante, like, killer that goes out to the universe to, like, massacre millions of people. He's now a family man, and he's willing to throw away his pride to take care of the ones that he cares about. Piccolo, on the other hand, not to say that he doesn't care about, you know, his friends, family, Gohan, and all that stuff. There was no reason for Piccolo to experiment doing peekaboo. He has no previous incentive or motive to actually go about doing that, and it just really bothered me because in the Resurrection F movie, Piccolo was just, like he was in the beginning of this episode. He was just rocking, that crib back and forth like a badass, with his foot leaning back on the tree and shit, and I thought it was alright. But with Super, like, I guess Toei Animation thought, oh no, let's make Piccolo a little more out of character in this scene. Let's throw in a little bit of like a peekaboo scene with Pan. I'm sure the fans will dig that. Like, I know it was for comedy. I know it's not meant to be raised a big deal, but it definitely did kind of bother me. The Vegeta segments didn't bother me, but the Piccolo one with this scene, it was pretty much out of character, I'm not gonna lie. But that wasn't a big deal, just my own personal belief. However, what I'm going to talk about next is not my personal belief. This was lazy as shit on Toei Animation's part. And what I'm talking about is when Pilaf and his crew and Sorbet, they resurrect Shenron. And they ask Shenron to bring back Freeza, and Shenron replies to them that I can do this for you guys, but Frieza's gonna be in pieces when, he comes back. And as soon as he says that, they show a flashback of when Trunks cut Frieza into pieces. What bothered me was that they used the old animation from like Dragon Ball Z. It might have been Dragon Ball Kai, but it's beside the fact that they didn't decide to reanimate this one little scene so that it could fit with the cohesiveness of this episode of Dragon Ball Super, or Dragon Ball Super as a whole. Like, can you imagine if you went in to see like Resurrection F movie and all this insane animation and like modern day like art style and everything, you think it's badass, and then all of a sudden when they show the flashback with Trunks, it just cuts back to old school Dragon Ball Z. Not saying that art style is bad in any way. It shows off laziness to me. Like, it really does. Because in the Resurrection F movie, they completely reanimated that scene to make it fit with, the animation of the movie. And it was badass. But with Dragon Ball Super, it just cuts back to old school animation that's 20 plus years old. It really does baffle me. That was lazy as shit from Toei's part, because they could have easily reanimated that flashback just like they did in the movie, and it was just distracting. It was by far the most distracting thing in the whole episode. And again, I am not bashing the animation from way back then. I appreciate it for what it was. I still think it's badass, but it does not belong with Dragon Ball Super and like the art style animation that it's going for. Mind you, it sometimes doesn't know what it's going for, but you get what I mean. Because even Naruto episodes, when they're in the middle of like an episode that's actually canon, because let's face it, we haven't had one of those in a long time. But whenever they do actually have a canon episode and they show a flashback in the middle of the episode to like a thing that happened like years and years ago, both in real time and in the universe's time, they actually reanimate the scene so that it fits the art style of what they are at right now. So again, it's not like it's impossible to do. It's not like, oh, it just saves money in the long run. Like, no, Toei was just being lazy as shit for not reanimating this one scene. But I digress. And this was always a personal confusion of mine, and I'm hoping like maybe someone in the comments can like clarify it for me or something, but the Earth Dragon Shenron originally could only grant one wish, and when Dende became the new Guardian of Earth, they upgraded the Dragon Balls to be able to grant 2 wishes, which is what I previously thought, because in the Resurrection F movie, they resurrected Frieza, and then it progressed to Pilaf and his crew like wanting to like wish for like 100 million Zenny or however much it was, and then the dragon disappeared. So I'm really confused as to why in Dragon Ball Super they're now saying the Earth Dragon, not the Namek Dragon, the Earth Dragon can now grant 3 wishes, which is something I did not know before. That's why it was really confusing. And again, it could just be translation errors from just like Toei's part or Funimation's part or Viz Media's part, but I was always led to believe that the Earth Dragon Shenron could only grant 2 wishes, not 3. But again, going off of the Earth Dragon granting 3 wishes, I really thought that this was going to be an awesome opportunity to make cooler canon. in that I believe that like Togama, when Sorbet asked him, oh, should we bring back King Cold with the second wish? And then Togama was gonna say something like, oh yeah, King Cold, now that I think about it, I don't know. And then maybe he could have led off into the third wish saying, we also have that third wish for Cooler. Like, if he had just said that, that would have been so badass. They didn't even need to go into any more detail. Just that little mention of Cooler would make him canon. And even though I know Cooler does not fit properly in the main timeline of Dragon Ball Z, he is my second favorite villain from the DBZ movies prior to Battle of Gods, and he's only second to Broly himself. But this was a missed opportunity. I thought that was going to be hella fucking awesome, but I mean, you know, that's why they got fan fiction. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that frog that like witnessed Frieza's ship land on Earth, that was Captain Ginyu. That was actually Captain Ginyu. And for anyone that says like, oh no, it's just like a random ass frog, like looking up like, no. First off, that frog, that frog design is like strictly from Namek. Like the frogs on Namek are exactly like that. The frogs on Earth look like frogs, but the frogs on Namek, they look exactly like the one that was watching Frieza's ship. Secondly, why even show this frog just looking at Frieza's ship, like at a randomness? Like, you might as well show a bird looking at Frieza's ship or a rabbit looking at Frieza's ship. But no, it was a frog that was from Namek that is staring at Frieza's ship, and he's like confused, like, oh wow, that looks like a Frieza ship. Like, it was a Croak subtitle, but you know what he was asking himself. So I'm really curious as to whether or not this was like an Easter egg, like, oh yeah, Captain Ginyu's still around, or if this is leading into maybe Captain Ginyu making a return. Maybe after the Resurrection F arc, he'll have some sort of relevance, or maybe even during the Resurrection F arc, he might, you know, do like a switch body thing with like someone or one of Frieza's men in the background or something. I think this would be really, really cool to bring back one of like the more interesting characters from the Dragon Ball Z universe. So, Toei Animation, get on it, make Captain Ginyu back into the show, even though he's probably like weak as shit right now. But again, it's great to see old characters make a new appearance with Dragon Ball Super and the future of Dragon Ball in general. But going off on a smaller note, I just find like Pilaf's ambitions, like, they continuously dwindle down to like mediocre levels. Like, it's beyond me. Like, they were introduced in Dragon Ball like wanting to rule the world, take over the world. A typical ambition for like, you know, a pretty normal average villain in any anime or show or movie. And then when they made their reappearance in Battle of Gods, they toned down their wish to, I think it was like eternal youth, or it was something related to youth, because now that's why they're kids again. And now we got all the way down to Resurrection F, like the bottom of the barrel. And like, they were gonna wish for like 100 million Zeni, and Pilaf was gonna wish for an origami from a dragon that can grant any wish. I know it's typical Dragon Ball humor, but Pilaf, you wanted to rule the world, and now you're scrubbing buckets for origami like foldings, like. And of course, the episode finally closes out with Frieza finally being resurrected, which ensues the beginning of the Resurrection F arc. The only thing I can say that I did not, like, mildly not enjoy about the resurrection part was they took out the Freeza song that was in the movie, you know, like the heavy metal rock song, like Freeza, 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 Freeza. Like, that was just so fucking epic. Like, when you saw Frieza's arms forming, you heard that like badass like pwa 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 pwa. Like, I was like sweating in my fucking theater seat. Like, I was like, oh man, the king is back, baby, the #1 villain in DBZ. But yeah, like, I kind of wish that they put that back in there, but it's probably just, you know, if you want to see the badass version, go watch Resurrection F, because that one is for you. But again, overall great episode. I did enjoy it. Art and animation was pretty on point, and they added a little bit more snippets to make it different from the Resurrection F movie. But again, looking forward to what we have in store in Dragon Ball Super, because again, Champa and Vados have made their appearance in the last episode, and I'm wondering if they're going to have a role at all in this arc, or maybe obviously the arc after this one. But again, looking forward to it. I want to hear your thoughts in the comments though. I want to hear what you have to say about this episode. What are your predictions as to how the Resurrection F arc will go down, because I'm hoping that in this 4-month period that Frieza takes to train to get his golden form, I'm hoping that we get to see more training from Goku and Vegeta, because even though the training that we saw already was pretty funny and pretty cool to see how they got their Super Saiyan God, Super Saiyan forms, I do want to see more of that training to like reassure me that wow, they had to go through a lot to get this form. It was no easy task. It wasn't fucking sweeping rugs and changing beers to sheets that made them almost one of the most powerful beings in the universe. But again, show me more training with Whis and Goku and Vegeta, and I'm all set. And yeah, and hell, even show me the training that Frieza went through, because we don't even know like what exactly he did to get to the golden form. Like, did he just train by himself? Did he train in a gravity room? That would be a definite treat to see how Frieza got so powerful in that like 4 to I think 6 month time span. That is going to be awesome. But that's all that I have for this video. If you enjoyed it at all, or even this episode, leave me a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, there you go. You got an excuse right now. Click that subscribe button and stay up to date with all of my future content. I'm Mr. Ajax, and as always, stay beautiful.